took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining, dog. Counting up my wins.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cesar Hernandez podcast. And listen, I'm gonna just get right into it and just start to go into what it is that this podcast is about. If you're discovering this and you're coming across it, you probably seen me and you're like, hey man, that guy kind of looks like me, or maybe who's this crazy dude, right? And I want to talk about why this podcast is being formed. This is coming after days of Charlie Kirk being killed and slaughtered, murdered, assassinated. And when I seen that, it kind of stirred something inside of me that made me want to create something that is specifically for a specific type of person. And what I mean by that is you might come from the hood. You might come from a place like I come from. You might have some struggles in life. You might be struggling right now trying to figure out what your next move is, where you're going to go, and how things are going to look for you and your family, or just for yourself. Listen, man, I come from a background that everything indicated I wasn't going to go anywhere in life. And I've been able to do things and to see things that I never thought that I could. And so that's what this podcast is about. And maybe you're somebody who's a Mexican like me, or maybe you might be thinking I'm a red bone, you a brother or something like that, and you from a hood too. So either or, I want you to tune in, kind of listen in and understand I'm going to be talking to you. I'm going to be talking to our problems and the things that we face. But not only that, I don't like to talk about problems and just leave it at that. I want to talk about solutions. So that's what we're going to do on this podcast. Man, I grew up in a small little town, small little city. I think at the time when I was growing up, it was probably about a population of 3,000 to 5,000 people. Very small. You're talking, everybody knows each other, right? Like one of those neighborhoods where you can go down the street and you know everybody who's in the city. And, you know, my mom was trying to get away from certain things that were following her from another city. And so we ended up moving from one city to this little small city and taking refuge behind a church. And that church was an apostolic church. And the pastor allowed us to stay in the back room that was a Sunday school room. So as you can imagine, my mom with 5 kids, squishing everybody into that room, it wasn't ideal. I remember many, many days of seeing rats and seeing cockroaches and different things running across the carpet. And it was just kind of normal. A lot of days we didn't have any food. There were many days where the pastor would show up and bring us food to be able to make sure that we were just getting something. And that was kind of the beginnings that I had in my small little town. And so when I speak about certain things and I speak about concepts and I speak about overcoming things, it's because I've had nothing but things to overcome in my life. From the standpoint of having no father, being raised by a single mother, from the standpoint of going through certain things that people didn't think I would make it out of. People thought that I was going to be dead at 16 years old. Anyhow, you'll hear a little bit more about that, but that's in a nutshell, that's what we're going to be talking about and covering on the podcast. And that's where I come from. Listen, if you're listening to this and you're thinking to yourself right now that things look hopeless, things feel like you're not going to be able to overcome them, man. You're looking at your situation. You're sitting there and you're saying, man, I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the dad. I didn't have the mom. I didn't have, X, Y, Z, whatever that thing is for you, because you might have grown up with your mom without your dad, or maybe your dad raised you, or maybe you were raised up in an orphan home, or maybe you just got put out at an early age like I did when I was 16. Listen, all of these things are contributing factors. They're not determining factors. And so what I'm here to do is talk about the determining factors that are going to help accelerate your life. I'm going to talk about the things that, yes, there are plenty of contributing factors that contribute to what it is that we experience in life, but that doesn't mean that we have to allow those things to rule our lives. And I see far too many people of my color, of my background, of the people that come from where I come from, falling for the trap that they set for us every single day. And I'm not just talking about in the neighborhoods. I'm talking about in the music. I'm talking about in the food. I'm talking about in the dialogue. I'm talking about in the conversations. I'm talking about from the OGs. I'm talking about from every standpoint. We are inundated with all of this mentality that was never meant for us. And if you can take a moment right now to understand that everything around you that you're experiencing is merely a contributing factor, and it's not a determining factor. And I want to encourage you today and to tell you, like, look, I wasn't always well spoken. Every once in a while, a couple little, you know what I'm saying? And what's up, loco? It comes out of me, man. It's just what it is. It's just who I am. Innately, I'm still who it is that I am, but I've had to create somebody who is strong enough to overcome certain things and strong enough to be in a different position in life. And I see so many of my brothers and my sisters from my background, from my neighborhood and from neighborhoods like mine that are stuck for years and years and years. I go back home and I show up to the same garage with the same dude in it, smoking the same weed, sipping the same liquor, talking the same talk. And listen, man, listen, if that's what you want and that's where you're at and that's where you feel like you're going to be for the rest of your life, fine. I'm talking to the people that want something more. I'm talking to the dude right now that you're sitting there and you're like, damn, see, I don't want this for my life. I want more. I just don't know how to do it. I don't have the roadmap, man. I don't have what it takes, bro. Like I didn't have somebody telling me you could do it. Well, you do now. You do now. I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at you right now, and you do now. You got somebody that believes in you, because I didn't have anybody that believed in me either. I can count on one hand how many times the interactions that I've had with my personal father. Sometimes I run into him on the street. Sometimes he might remember me. Sometimes he may not. There have been one time where he asked what my name was. That's the situation I'm coming from. I'm coming from obstacles. And I'm going to encourage you right now to really realize that none of those things really matter. So here's what I'm going to bring to the table for you, man. Listen, today my life is a dream life. It really is. I can't lie. Today my life feels like, what am I doing here? Sometimes I get in the room with certain individuals and I have to laugh to myself, man, like how did this dude from that hood end up in this situation, right? And it's funny because sometimes there are some business associates, they'll look at my hand, they'll see 3 little dots and they'll be like, hey, bro, what is that? What does that mean? And I have to go into this whole explanation of this is a life I used to live and I don't live that way no more and all these things. But what I'm going to bring to you is a path and a direct path outside of that mindset and outside of the things that you currently think that you're stuck in. Listen, man, I've been able to do some amazing things within the consulting world. That's my business. I consult people. And my cheapest product is $75,000 for one person. I want you to think about that just for a second. My cheapest product is $75,000 for one person, 2 days consulting. Let that soak in for a second. That is a tremendous amount of value. Do you know how crazy somebody would be to have to write that check? That is a crazy amount of value that you have to bring and that you have to be able to project on somebody to do that. How did I do that? How did I go from being in the hood to living on the government cheese, the government food, the food stamps, not knowing who I was, running around the streets, acting a fool, to becoming a consultant that is able to demand that sort of cash? And that's a question that you need to ask yourself. How do I increase my value? What are the things that I need to do to be able to be that valuable? Man, I can't even charge somebody $100 right now. Man, I can't even get somebody to loan me $10. How do I become that person that you're talking about? See, how do I become that person that you're saying that I can become? I see you and you're on Instagram and you're on Facebook and you're on YouTube and you're doing these things and it looks great, man. But how do I get there? I'm going to tell you something, man. It doesn't happen overnight, but that's the good news. The good news is that it's going to take time to develop this character in which you need to develop to be able to get to the places that you need to get. But that's the journey. And the journey is such a beautiful thing. When I look back, it's been now 16 years since I've been doing this. It's been 20 years since I became a single father. And when I look back at the last 2 decades and the opportunities that came to me, they came to me because at each level, I became someone different. Listen, if I was going to hand you $1 billion today, if I was going to give you $1 billion, you probably would blow it because you don't know what to do with it, because you haven't conditioned your mind on how to take that. You haven't cultivated the habits and the lifestyle to be able to take you from that level to that level. So what if I was going to give you $1,000? What can we do with that? What can we do with $1,000 and how can we invest in ourselves and get ourselves to a point where we can become the person that we need to become to be able to just to be at that level, right? Let me ask you something. When you're walking around and you're walking in the way that You always have. Have you ever questioned that? Have you ever questioned like, man, I wonder if my walk's just a little too crazy. I'm talking to my dudes from the hood right now. I wonder if my walk is just a little too aggressive. I wonder if I'm putting out a certain energy that retracts people as opposed to attracting them. Can I smile? Am I dogging people out? Am I just walking around with a scowl on my face? Is that what's pushing people away? Well, I don't know any other way, bro. I don't know any other way. All I know is to have anger. I'm just filled with I'm just angry and upset because of where I come from. You don't understand. See, these things happen to me. I was beaten down as a kid. My father was abusive. My mom left me. But all these different things and these stories that we tell ourselves are the reason why we tell ourselves that we can't do certain things. So going back to asking yourself the questions, ask yourself, am I dressing properly for the day? Am I doing the things that are necessary to be able to get myself into an environment in which I'm going to be not only just accepted, but to be able to be elevated because they now see that I am thinking at a different level. Listen, new levels always bring new devils. You're going to run into adversity wherever it is that you go. And changing and going from one level to another is very uncomfortable. You might feel like you're putting things on Front Street. You might feel like you're faking it. You might feel like, man, this ain't me, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on, dog. I can't just change my lingo. I can't just change the way that I talk. I gotta be real. Okay. Well, you could be real broke and you could be real broke minded. That's the truth. The truth is if you're not willing to change the way that you walk, the way that you talk, the way that you do things in life, my man, you're just going to keep staying there. And here's the thing. The problem is that we're surrounding ourselves with certain things and certain aspects of our lives that keep us there. I'm going to give you an example. Every day when you wake up, what kind of food are you putting into your body at the top of the day? Are you getting to the gym like you're supposed to with the frequency that you're supposed to? You know that you're supposed to work out. I know that you're supposed to work out, but are you doing it? Right? Are you getting there consistently and making that happen? But furthermore, what kind of poisons are you putting in your body? What are you saying yes to? What do you say no to? Are you eating the Fruit Loops in the morning? Are you having the steak and eggs? What are you having? What are you putting into your system that allows you to thrive? Now you may say, hey man, listen, bro, I'm at a point right now where I can't even afford steak and eggs. I can't afford those sort of things. I have to do the Fruit Loops. I got to do the Lucky Charms. I got to do this. That's fine. I get it. I understand. But that's not meant to be you forever. And what I'm saying is that you have to get yourself to a point where when you start to make a little bit of extra change, you start reinvesting that change right back into your health, right back into your body, because this vessel right here is going to be the very thing that carries you there. The other thing, and the next thing is, what are you listening to every day? You see, just like our diet is something that shows out on the outside, so does our diet in music. So does our diet in what we're taking in on a daily basis from these voices that we're listening to. You know, what really makes me upset is that these people that are in charge of the radio voices, the shows, you know, the things that we tune into, they got such a disregard for you that they're giving you garbage every single day and you're just chomping it up, chomping it up, chomping it up. And it keeps making them more money. Let me ask you something. Are you going to go listen to Big Boy in the morning? Are you going to listen to personalities like that? Are you going to listen to those dudes while they're dumbing you down every single day? Or would you rather tune into something that's going to make you some more money? That's going to help you talk more fluid. It's going to help you talk with more authority. Would you rather consume something that's going to allow you to articulate your words better? That's what I'm talking about. That's the difference between tuning into somebody like Jim Rohn and somebody like Big Boy in the morning. And I don't mean to pinpoint Big Boy. I think he's doing what he knows how to do, but it ain't for me. That's not for me. I don't want to hear about Nicki Minaj, and I don't want to hear about all of these different characters in a world that I don't even mess with. I want to hear about how can I take my life and how can I thrive in the life that I have? How can I allow myself to change things up enough to give me a massive leap forward? A leap that I couldn't have done if I was still in the streets. A leap that I couldn't have done had I been having the same habits. I want to be able to have that massive, giant leap forward and people to be able to look at me and say, man, that dude's doing things. And I have a suspicion, my friend. Listen, big dog. I got a suspicion that you don't want to live the life that you're living right now. I got a suspicion that you might be living in the streets. You might be waking up. You might even have kids right now. You might be taking care of your family, but you know that there is more in the gas tank. You know it. And it's uncomfortable to change because the people around you are all the same. The people around you are having the same conversations. The people around you are doing the same things. You've got this routine going where everybody's living in a mediocre space. Now listen, business life, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And there are some of us that are meant to be players and some of us that are meant to be bosses. Some of us that are meant to be the entrepreneur and the person in charge, the leader, the person that decides to make a difference. You know, I like this concept from Ed Milet that I heard a long time ago. It's called the one. And the concept of the one is every family at some point is dealing with poverty. Every family at some point is dealing with things that are not good. And you have generation upon generation upon generation of people that are poor-minded. They're not making any sort of strides. They're just kind of sitting in the problems that they have. And all of a sudden, the one shows up. That one person shows up. The person shows up and said, this ain't good enough. This ain't for me, big dog. This ain't for me. This is not acceptable for me anymore. So I refuse to allow myself to continue going down this line that my family has been. I need to be the change. I need to figure something out. I don't have the roadmap. I don't have anything that is telling me that this thing is going to work, but I'm going to do it. And you become the one. You become the person that shifts and changes your entire trajectory of your life. And not only that, more importantly, the trajectory of your family's life. You see, the fact is I didn't have a father to raise me. I didn't have somebody to tell me, Caesar, this is what you got to do, man. Hey, don't do this and do this. Stop talking to that person. Stop eating this. Stop drinking this. Stop doing this. This is where I want you to think about. I didn't have anybody like that. As a matter of fact, I had to raise my kids for 20 years because their mom refused to show up. Their mom left us when they were just babies. She just passed away about 3 months ago. Dead. Gone. My kids will never have an opportunity to have a real conversation with their mother. When I tell you obstacles have been a part of every step of my life, I'm talking it's real. And so you may be standing there right now. You may be watching this, sitting on your bed, sitting on your couch, doing something. And you're listening to me and you're like, damn, C's, you really went through it. Hell yeah, I went through it. Absolutely, I went through it. But let me tell you something. There's a way out of it. And what you are feeling right now doesn't have to determine what it is that you have to feel 5 years from now, 1 year from now, 6 months from now, 30 days from now. It doesn't have to determine those things. What you are feeling and the environment in which you're in right now needs to be shaken up to the point where you feel that you can do something more, that you start to have a vision. And that would probably be the next thing that I'd like to tell you. If you don't have a compelling future in your mind and a vision for where you want to go, you are going to continuously stay stuck where you're at. If you cannot muster up enough of an imagination to say, man, if I'm making $40,000 this year and I want to make $150,000 by next year, if you don't have that vision and what that looks like, you need to start thinking about it now. And you know the reason why most of us don't have that vision? Because we weren't taught that. We went to school. We were taught to behave, not to talk too loud, to be nice, to do all these things. We weren't taught to be business killers. We weren't taught to be savvy in the way that we put our money into certain places. We weren't taught certain things that we needed to be taught in order to be a functional human being, but not just functional, somebody who can thrive. And I'm telling you right now that you may be sitting there like, damn, see, I feel like I don't have the tools to get this thing done. You probably don't. That's the truth. The truth is you're probably starting from bare minimum. And that's okay. Because guess what? So did I. I didn't have the lingo. I didn't have the information. I didn't have the mindset. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the funds. As a matter of fact, for over 7 years, I suffered from chronic panic attacks, anxiety, agoraphobia. Couldn't even walk outside of my home. I couldn't go around the block from my house to check the mail without having a panic attack. I couldn't drive down the street and pump some gas in order for me to be able to just be functional. Like I couldn't even do it. So I started off with nothing. I started off with literally nothing. And my encouragement to you is, that's good. My encouragement is good. Now you have something to fight for. You got kids that you can't really afford right now? Good. Get up, keep working. Get up and make that not the case. Do something about it. You see, we live in a world that is all about self. Self-love, me, myself, and I. Oh, I'm doing me. Oh yeah, forget everybody else. All the women are pissed off at the men. All the men are pissed off at the women. Everybody's having this dysfunctional relationship with each other. Everybody's all of a sudden a narcissist. We're living through such a crazy time right now, right? It's such a crazy time. And when I think about this, I think about, man, principles are very simple. But the problem is that we're so convoluted with the information from the internet today. We're so convoluted with all the conflicting information that our heads are just spinning. Principles and values and good systems never change. Tactics do. The way in which you go about it will change. But the value, the system, the principle, the overarching thing that is guiding you will not change. And I'm going to lean a little bit into my faith right now. If you don't have faith in your Savior, if you don't have any sort of faith in the fact that there is a higher being, a higher power, higher than yourself, you're going to live a very hopeless life, my friend. This is the truth. Every time I find myself, and I'm telling you right now, like this is me opening up to you and telling you the straight truth. Every time that I get away from my faith, every time that I find myself getting away from the very thing I know I should be centered in, life feels chaotic. It feels hopeless. I feel like, man, I don't know where I'm going. I'm scared to die. I start having anxiety. But every time I bring my faith back into it, I'm not afraid to die. I'm walking a straight and narrow line. My kids are thriving. I'm feeling good. My leadership is there. People are respecting me. These are things that matter to a young man. These are things that matter to a man as a whole. And if you understand this, that the principles will guide you and the principles will allow you to get to the place that you need to go. All right, so listen, this was just the first episode and the first time that you and I are having this dialogue, right? We're having this conversation. We're having a one-on-one. So I want you to come back and I want you to make sure to hit the subscribe. I want you to make sure that you stay tuned because we're going to be dropping more episodes like this. This first one is really meant for us to just kind of talk about things and talk about what you can potentially overcome, the things that you're potentially seeing right now that are hindering you from going to the places that you need to go. But I have a sneaky suspicion that you want more. I have a sneaky suspicion that in your life, you desire to have more. And if that is the case, keep coming back to this channel. Keep coming back to these episodes. Keep coming back to this podcast because we're going to keep diving in and we're going to make sure that we get you to the place that you need to go. We're going to make sure that you have no excuse. I am going to remove every excuse that you have conjured up in your mind. And we're going to take them, we're going to crush them, and we're going to move forward because that's what's required. That's what it takes. I'll see you soon.
Took control, run the game. Best believe I'm shining, dog.